Hello, welcome to the very first episode of the Sunset Talk. Even if the sun still is a little bit high, everything's ready to start, and today it's gonna be a great day. We're gonna talk about society and the philosophical question between live to work, work to live. We're also gonna talk about mobility expenses, about places to park for the night, and about routes, especially being a full-time traveler. We're also gonna talk about fishing, but don't expect much about this last one. So let's start this. Before we start, I want to thank you all very much for all the questions and all the ideas. For the next week, next Wednesday Sunset Talk, you can write on this video questions, ideas, subjects you want to talk about, anything, write on this one. Of course, don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you very much for that. And alright, let's start this. One thing I know about society. Society is not an individual thing about me or you. It's about all of us in a bigger picture. So society doesn't care if I'm happy. Society only cares about following certain rules that are general. So I don't think we can apply those rules to every single one of us. And as I just told, society doesn't care if you're happy, if we are having a good life or enjoying life. So this philosophy about living to work or work to live, this is something depends a lot in how we are. We're not all the same and we don't love the same things. But I believe that only a few of us are lucky enough to have a job they love. And most of us, even sometimes we start, it happened to me before, to have jobs that I really love, but then we change. Everything is always changing. And we live in a society, this Western society, United States and Europe is the same. This Western society want us to be very good doing only one thing, because society will work better, and society is getting more and more about economics than about happiness or social things. So that's why society pushes to be very good in one thing and not good at all in all the other things. And that is good in some ways, but when we arrive to a point where we don't like our job anymore, it's really bad, because we don't have, it's difficult to go to start to something else, and we don't have any information to do something else. And so we need to be very brave, and it's kind of scary to change completely. But we need to think, most of all, that brave or difficult is to waste life doing something that we don't love. And this is not just about working, but about life in general. And for the few who have a job they love and they love the days they have, is different. But for most of us, I think the job is only a way to get money, so money can help us to achieve our dreams. And one thing that is happening nowadays is, instead of trying to have a good life, we are trying to show that we have a good life. is getting so important for us to make other people jealous, and shouldn't be like that. We should care about having a good life, and having a good life is not the same for everybody, but that should be the point of life. Fight to have a good one. And we all love different things, and we all have different ways of living. Like, I can stay alone for long periods of time without getting bored or feel lonely, and lots of other people can't. So of course it's not the same thing for me or someone like that to have a good life. But always should be the point of it, trying to have a good life. And in the past, I've tried many things, and we need to try different things so we can find what we love. And when we find what we love, we are in a good way to have a good life. And at the same time, trying things, even the things that don't fit us, or most of all the things that don't fit us, help us to understand ourselves and to learn a lot about ourselves. And if you don't know it, we don't know ourselves deep inside, we cannot understand what we need, and we cannot search for our path and our way of getting a good life. So this is what I think about the philosophy of live to work or work to live. I think the real issue is not the way we choose to live. The real issue, and always should be, is that we always need to try to have a good life. And what is a good life? Is a life where we enjoy most of the time, where we do for a certain period of time the things we love. Nothing will be ever perfect, but life can always get better, always. We just need to never give up and try to find what really it is for us. Alright, so about parking for the night. Never been traveling with a van in the United States. And maybe I'm wrong, but I hear that in some states at least this can be a problem. A very big problem. Well, in Europe there's no problem at all. And especially with my van, that is a small van, even less problems, because it's kind of only a car. But even with a bigger van, the only thing that matters, talking about the law, is the parking rules. If I'm well parked, there's no law saying that I cannot sleep inside, so I can sleep wherever I want. Here there's nothing say that I cannot stop my car here. I cannot park, so I can park, I can sleep, I can stay. Then even in some places, like in Italy for example, in the summer, in the high season, places like this, they put a guard, so you need to pay for the night. If you want to stay for the night, even most of the places, you pay the parking for the day. In Greece there are a few places like that, but not much. Most of the southern European countries, Greece is amazing for traveling in a camper van. And Portugal, even if it is my country, I never traveled there with a camper van. Even if my first road trip was there with a small car a long time ago, but I think Portugal is a very good country for that as well. And most of the European countries are good. In the northern countries, some countries can be a little bit more strict, but even Switzerland, that may be the most straight country about rules in Europe for sure, maybe even in the world. I lived there in my van in the beginning, and even I worked there living in my van and never had a problem. Then what I did, it was move a little bit more, so never stay more than 2 or 3 nights in the same spot, because there people call the police all the time for very, very small things, but never had a problem there. I've heard that in Germany some places you cannot stop, that people will call the police as well. I don't know if it's true, never had a problem there neither. And what happens, especially when I'm moving from one place to the other, I sleep a lot in truck stops, where the truck drivers stop for the night, and I stop there, and it's always kind of safe. And that's the other thing about being safe. In Europe, it's pretty much safe everywhere. Only big towns. In Athens last year, some kids tried to steal my bike. But then in Europe, no one gonna kill you, most of the time. But it's pretty safe. And then the most important thing is the instinct. And for me, after, it's not just a year traveling in my van, but many, many years traveling as a backpacker and all of it. And the instinct gets better and better with time. So in a few minutes I know already. Sometimes if I'm not sure, I stop the van in a way that I cannot be blocked by one car. Someone wants to do something to me, they'll need at least 2 cars. And so with one car, if I hear something, I can just turn the key and go. But never had a problem. And I think in Europe, 90% of the places you can just stop and relax. When I go to visit a big place, I sleep there. I park like a normal car and I sleep there. It's not very comfortable and it's not very funny, but it's better, and I'll spend less money doing that. So I sleep there for 1 night or 2 nights. I do that, but I do that all the time. I received a question about my cooling system now that summer is arriving and can get very warm. But I'm not going to answer that, because this week I'm doing a full van tour where I'm going to talk about everything I have. So I'll talk about that in that video I will publish in a few days, maybe even tomorrow. So what's next? Mobility expenses. Well, the most expensive thing about living in a van is the mobility, starting with gas and all the things that we need to spend money with the van. Just change my brakes and fix the exhaust. So that is the main expense. And if I don't move, it can be very, very cheap. And moving gets, of course, more expensive. But I have 2 rules. The first rule is never, ever pay to sleep. If I can't find a nice spot like this one, I'll sleep in a gas station and I look for a better place the next day. But I'll never pay to sleep, because 2 reasons. There's the money reason, of course, and that I explained in the other video. Like when I was backpacking, I realized that after 1 year, the money I would pay for an hostel every night, I would pay my van. So that's one reason. The other reason is kind of a principle I have. So if I have a very good bed here, I don't want to go to pay. I've done it maybe two times. I've done it. I went to an hostel, but for completely different reasons. It was to meet people, because an hostel is a great place to meet people, backpackers and travelers. But it's my rule number 1. And my rule number 2 is never try, at least I try, to pay tolls. Sometimes we have no choice. Other times, like when I went 2 weeks ago to the island of Lefkada, there's a tunnel under the sea, and it's €3. But if I don't take the tunnel, I need to do 150 kilometers around. So it will be more expensive to go around than to pay the €3. Because I'll do 25 kilometers to the island of Lefkada, or 30 kilometers, and I'll do like 150 or something like that, or 160 going around. So in cases like that one, of course, I pay. And sometimes there's another bridge going to south. If I go to Athens, that maybe is better to pay. There are some things like that. But I always try, I have my GPS always with no tolls. So I'll always try not to pay. It happens by mistake sometimes. Instead of going left, we go straight or something. Then we are inside the highway with tolls or something. But I always try not to pay, because it's a very easy way to spend lots of money without knowing it. So you spend, like, you do 100 kilometers. It's 2 years in Europe. Is in some countries, Italy, France, is kind of crazy. It's like south of France, there's a highway there. Every 15 kilometers you stop to pay €1 or €2. Then after all the highway, you realize you spend €50 to do the highway. The thing with me is I'm away from home for a long time. I lived in many different countries and been traveling for several years, almost 14 years. So do this now is much easier than for someone who just leave the place where they always live to go and do the same. My roots are a little bit everywhere. I adapt, or I always try to adapt. Some countries I need some kind of adaptation days. Last time it happened to me, it was in Malta. After 1 hour at customs control, and it was night, driving on the left side, I was like, whoa, I needed 2 days or 3 days to adapt. I felt a complete outsider, and it's a weird sensation. After it passes, feels really good. I remember last time that happened to me before Malta, it was in Russia. That took me like 4 or 5 days. It's a very different culture. Things are different. When we go to places where things are very different from what we are used to, we need some adaptation. Then I know by experience how it works, so I fight against it. I try to open my mind and to adapt as fast as possible. In the beginning, first time that happens to me, it was kind of difficult, because then we accept that we don't belong there and we go away. It happened to me when I was younger in some places that now I regret, because I didn't enjoy those places because I was too scary to open my mind, and now I miss that sometimes, because it gets, especially in Europe, I don't even need to adapt. I've been in pretty much every European country, and most of them more than 2 or 3 times. So the adaptation is already done, and sometimes I miss that. Makes me feel like I'm actually traveling. And the roots I have, after such a long period being here and there, my roots are a little bit everywhere. And then there's another thing about living in a van, is that my bed is always the same, and after a while, and that's what happens now, this is my home. When I need security, to like the same feeling we have when we arrive home, I have it here. So, and this is a start for everything about roots. Before, especially backpacking, I always needed what I call the base camp, the place where I needed to go from time to time and just, refill my body with energy, my batteries, something like that. With my van, I don't feel that, because I feel that every night when I come back to sleep, or every day being here, I'm home. I feel being home, and I really feel that this is my backyard, even if some strangers pass by. But I'm used to it now, so it's perfect. This is a very nice subject about fishing. In Malta, a friend, Darren, he took me and he taught me a little bit about fishing. Because then I realized that I'm close to the sea all the time, and I love to snorkeling. And here fishes are very, very close, and very close there are fishes like this that I saw the other day. So sadly, and because in some things I'm very lazy, there are things that I work like a crazy, and other things I'm very lazy till I start sometimes, or other things I'll never start. But fishing, it's kind of stupid that I don't go fish. I have nothing to do it, and it's not expensive. Like 20 or 40 euros, I can have everything I need, and then have a fresh fish. And I love to eat fish. I really do. I'm Portuguese. We eat tons of fish there, and lovely fish, and this makes food cheaper, makes food better. There's only good reasons about fishing, and I don't know why I don't have what I need and I don't go fish. Every time I dive and I go to snorkeling, or every time I see someone fishing, and here every day I see someone down there, I think about it, and I think, yeah, I need to do that, because it's two reasons. First, I think it's a natural thing to do, to take, and I feel so connected with nature that this would be normal, and I love fruits and things from the earth, so fish fits the same for me and from my point of view. And second is, nothing is greater than be able to provide myself with food. You know what I mean? It's like, that's something big that nowadays is so easy to eat and get food everywhere, or in the Western world at least. Everything is so easy that no one knows how to do certain things about food, and that's very interesting. And I would be very proud of myself if I can provide food. So it's something that I plan to do in the future. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I think it will happen. And that's it. It was a really nice conversation, I think. Very, very interesting subject. Well, thank you very much for watching. See you soon. I'm about to publish a video about my van, as I told you. So, see you then. Cheers, take care.